Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
At my kids' Christian camp a few years ago, the speaker asked the group of teenage counselors to turn to the book of Hezekiah. As thin Bible pages rustled, most teens searched in vain for this obscure Old Testament book, while others giggled. As it turns out, the Bible does not contain a book by the name of Hezekiah, though I can't help wishing it would. The story of this wise king of Judah can be found in 3 different books of the Bible: 2 Kings, 2 Chronicles, and Isaiah, which tells me that God has many treasures for us to learn from this king. Last week we discussed what Hezekiah did in the first month of his reign. He wholeheartedly followed the Lord and led his people back to the worship of the one true God. 2 Kings 18:5 says, "He trusted in the Lord God of Israel, so that after him was none like him among all the kings of Judah, nor who were before him." Now that's saying a lot. Judah had had some really good kings. Joash had remodeled the temple and reestablished worship after his evil grandmother Athaliah had brought Baal worship to Judah. But Joash had turned bad and killed his guardian's son, the high priest, after his guardian had died. And there was Jehoshaphat, who led his people to trust God, pray, and fast during an attack, and God brought victory. But Jehoshaphat kept allying himself with the kings of Israel, which nearly brought his own family to ruin when he married evil Athaliah to his son Jehoram. Jehoshaphat's father Asa was a good king. He removed his own grandmother from being queen mother because of her idol worship and led the people to make a covenant with the Lord. Yet he didn't trust God when trouble came, and instead bribed the king of Syria to help him. And then there was Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, who built the original temple for worshiping the Lord. Yet he married foreign wives, lots of them, who drew him away from the worship of the Lord. And of course there was David, the man after God's own heart. Usually when the Bible commends a faithful king, he's compared to David by saying, "He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, as did his father David." But we remember how David committed adultery and covered it up in a web of murder and lies. Now, suddenly, Hezekiah becomes the king to compare all other kings to. There was none like him, either before or after him. 2 Kings 18 continues by saying, "For he held fast to the Lord. He did not depart from following him, but kept his commandments. The Lord was with him, and he prospered wherever he went." 2 Chronicles 31 said, "He did what was good and right and true before the Lord his God. And in every work that he began in the service of the house of God, in the law, in the commandment, to seek his God, he did it with all his heart. So he prospered." Hezekiah saw God's punishment of the northern kingdom as the king of Assyria carried them away captives. He knew it was because they had not obeyed the Lord but worshipped idols. He wasn't about to let that happen to his people on his watch. So even from the beginning, he trusted the Lord and stood for what was right. He brought the people back to the Lord by opening the temple, destroying places of idol worship, reinstituting the Passover, and much more. When trouble came, he trusted the Lord and did not waver. So God blessed him and his nation. We'll look at more specifics on what he did tomorrow. But for now, think about your situation. As I said the other day, none of us are rich and powerful kings, but we all have our own sphere of influence. Maybe, like Hezekiah, you grew up in an ungodly family, but you have influence over your own family, to bring up your children in the church, to model for your children and grandchildren what a loving, godly parent and grandparent is like. Maybe your workplace includes those who take the Lord's name in vain and have no respect for you or your God. But in loving them, praying for them, being a good example of what a Christ follower should be, God can use you to be a witness for Him. Whether it's at work, at school, in your neighborhood, or even at your church, whatever your sphere of influence, God can use you to be a light to all who cross your path. People watch you every day. They see how you handle adversity. Your actions reveal your priorities and who you serve. In watching you, do others see Jesus?
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes at our website, which you can find in the description below. Thanks for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.